Good morning, everyone. My name's Tom Gonzalez, and on behalf of the Horticulture School Planning Committee, I'd like to welcome you to the first webinar in our 2025 Spring Webinar Series. Today's webinar is entitled Introduction to Strawberry Production, Parts 1 and Part 2. The webinar will be presented by Anthony Mintenko. If you have any questions that you would like to ask Anthony during the presentation, please enter them into the chat feature on your screen, and Anthony will be able to answer your questions at the end of each of Part 1 and Part 2. Anthony is the provincial fruit crop specialist with Manitoba Agriculture. He provides expert production advice on all commercially grown fruit crops across Manitoba. He works closely with the Prairie Fruit Growers Association and Assiniboine College's horticulture program on fruit crops research, extension field days, and seminars. Anthony has received the Provincial Service Excellence Team Award and the 20-year-long Service Award and participated in the 8th Annual International Strawberry Symposium and numerous North American Strawberry Grower Association berry production tours. Anthony lives on an acreage with his family and enjoys gardening and cycling. Take it away, Anthony.
Thank you, Tom, for the introduction. So today it's a big topic, but kind of going to give you kind of a quick overview of introduction to commercial strawberry production in Manitoba. Um, as Tom said, I work for Manitoba Agriculture as the fruit crop specialist, and essentially my role is to provide production advice to commercial growers across the province, and particular strawberry growers. So we're going to start out with just an overview of the industry. It's the number one fruit crop in Manitoba in terms of acres and value. And when we think about Manitoba strawberries, we need to think of it in terms of it's a premium product compared to what you buy in the store. It's just not comparable. Um, so need to keep that in mind, especially when we talk about pricing later on. It's marketed U-pick and pre-pick direct farm sales, and that's kind of on the 70 to 30 split. We've seen actually U-pick sales increase the last couple of years. One of these issues for this is there's a labor shortage for people who, to hire to come pick strawberries. So the U-pick is a great solution as your customers come to pick the product they're going to take home. And across the province, demand exceeds supply. It's everyone wants Manitoba strawberries. Um, Approximately 600 to 800,000 transplants of strawberries are planted annually. We're looking at 60 to 70 strawberry farms. This is equals to about 600 acres with about 300 acres harvested annually. So annual production is about 1 million pounds, and the average price, this is combining U-pick and pre-pick, is $5.39 a pound, with a total farm gate of approximately $6 million. And we've had commercial production since the late 60s into the 70s. A nice fact: Manitoba produces 2% of all strawberries grown in Canada, and it's the largest producer of strawberries of all the prairie provinces: Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. And the Prairie Fruit Growers Association has been representing growers since 1974. And so this is a great group to join if you want to get into strawberry growing or any fruit growing for that matter. They provide bulk discounts of high quality plants to members. So they order plants from the eastern suppliers, bare root plants, and bring them in as a bulk order for members, and they get that bulk discount, and they also get high quality plants. The PFGA also offers online farm map for customers and customer appointment program. They fund research activities They conduct a fruit crops field tour and also have a berry convention every fall. And they're an advocate for growers. They're kind of liaison between growers and government, and a really uh, great group to join for networking and connecting with other growers. Myself, again, I mentioned as a provincial fruit crop specialist, I provide production advice, agronomic advice to help new growers and established growers stay productive and profitable. And also, Cinnabon Community College has a horticulture production program. They do applied research and also have a horticulture certificate program to learn about fruit and vegetable production in Manitoba. Typically, we see 6 to 8,000 plants per acre transplanted, and this is on in a what we call June-bearing strawberries on a matted row system, which I'll go into in depth a little bit later. Typically, yields are 4 to 6,000 pounds per acre. Um, Usually, that your first year picking, second year plants is typically in that 44,000 to 5,000 range. But you can have, of course, bumper crop yields that exceed the 6,000 pounds per acre. And on the other side as well, lower yields due to uh, poor weather conditions or pest disease, whatever. So if you're looking at a 4 liter basket, that weighs about, depending on the berry size, 4 to 5 pounds per basket. So you're looking at 800, 1,200 baskets per acre. So your gross sales in that kind of 12 to 18 thousand range per acre. But for anyone who contacts me about getting into strawberry growing, these are the first questions I ask them. Is there land suitable for growing strawberries? Is there an irrigation water source? And do you have a market and business plan, or will you be planning on doing that? So ideal land for growing strawberries is deep, well-drained sandy loam. That's not to say that it can't be grown on other types of soil. That you just need to change your management um, strategies to deal with like a heavier clay loam soil. Um, Ideally, low soil salinity. Strawberries cannot tolerate saline conditions, even slight. Um, Ideally, a soil pH range of 5.5 to 7.5. So acidic to slightly alkaline. Um, Good soil organic matter between 2 and 4%. Uh, Good surface drainage, so no low spots. Any low spots, if they didn't get any standing water, the plants will die out. They just cannot tolerate that. And a shelter belt present, but with still good airflow and ideally sloped slightly to allow cold air to flow away so it's not trapped. And you'd want to determine what nutrients you need for that soil by doing a kind of what I call a full spectrum soil test, so macro, micro, nutrient levels, salinity, soil texture, soil pH. And that'll help you, one of the factors that help decide if your land's suitable for growing strawberries. And I also provide assistance in looking over soil tests and the soil type in that area to see if it's suitable for growing strawberries. So this is just a quick overview of how you would sample a new fruit crop field, whether it's strawberry, raspberry, whatever. Um, and you could use either a spade or a soil auger, ideally. And so this is kind of just to give you idea of, like I mentioned on the previous slide, what your soil's like, if there's any salinity issues, what your soil pH is at, that type of thing. And then for established fields, you want to sample within the row. So having a soil auger makes that a lot easier. And you want to remove any organic matter, like leaves or straw, before sampling so that doesn't impact on the soil test. Irrigation source, strawberries in Manitoba and in most regions require irrigation for consistent high yielding production. Strawberries are very shallow rooted, so it needs irrigation. Um, Ideally, I mean, we get rain, but that's not always at the right time or in the right amount. So supplementary irrigation is needed for sure. Sources can be river, lake, dugout, well, but that's a key factor here. Majority strawberry operations use drip line or drip tape irrigation systems. So it's either laid on top after transplanting or under the row at transplanting. It's a very water efficient system, and it also allows you full access across the field for field operations. You don't have to worrying about metal pipes to go around or have to put ramps to go over top. Everything is accessible. And plus, you also have a fertigation option where you could add fertilizer to your drip line irrigation water to fertilize the plants. And there's local irrigation suppliers will help setting up an irrigation system based on your irrigation source and your field size. So market and business plan, where's your customer base? So kind of the rule of thumb is population per picking area. Let's say you have 2,000 people within a 1 hour drive will be able to, that will pick a 1 acre will be sufficient. You want to enjoy interacting with the public. You're going to be dealing with the public. So that's a key thing as well. And also an all-weather road kind of close to an urban or town center to make it easier for people to go to your place and find you. And you need sufficient capital resources to establish and maintain a crop, as there's no revenue until year 2, because you do not harvest in year 1. You establish the crop in year 1, and then you harvest in year 2, etc. Risk management tools are limited for strawberries. Their crop insurance, Mask, has strawberry plant establishment insurance for the first year. They also have strawberry hail insurance, and strawberry is also included in the wildlife damage compensation program. Typically, that is for deer, and typically is for damage in the winter. So when the crop in the winter is covered with straw, covered with snow, sometimes you can get a herd of deer come through and move the straw off the plants to feed on the plants. And then, of course, then the plants are subjected to the cold winter temperatures and you get winter kill. But so we do have a program to cover for that. Ag stability is another risk management government producer program that protects producers against large income declines. So again, as I mentioned before about, having an all-weather road, but you want easy directions to the farm. Decide what your operation, if it's just a U-pick operation or a combination U-pick pre-pick. Start small. 1 acre is fine to get going, to kind of learn as you grow. And you could develop a business plan using the Manitoba Agriculture's Strawberry Cost of Production Guide as a template. So the thing when you want to think about for pricing for strawberries is that taste is king. This is a premium product with amazing flavor and taste, and it tastes like nothing that you could buy in the store. So there's no reason to be worried that you're more expensive than the store because you are a better product and a premium product. If there are any growers in your area, find out how much they're charging to avoid undercutting on their price, because by cutting prices at a race to a bottom, nobody wins. We just lose out on profit. And you're not competing against each other. We have more demand than supply, as I mentioned. We're competing against imports from the US and Mexico. So when you go through your cost of production guide, your profitable price may be higher or lower than other farms due to just different costs of production. So number of acres of production, other factors. Larger farms will typically have lower cost of production just because of their higher volumes. And that is their cost redistributed inputs are over more acres. So if you're a smaller farm, you may have to charge more than a neighboring farm that's 10 acres or something, or 15 acres. Um, the more strawberry farms you have in close together, the more customers attracted to that region because they know if one berry farm is picked out, neighboring berry farms they may still be picking. So just kind of just looking at numbers from like 2023, um, just comparing you pick to pre-pick average price. So it's average like 429 to 649 per pound. That works out to about $20 per 4 liter you pick basket or 30 to 32 per liter for pre-pick basket. And then you compare that to this is the retail price that I got from Stats Canada in 2023. We're right in line with what's being charged in the grocery store for an inferior product. Keep that in mind. So we don't have to apologize for our pricing. It's to me, it's still a great value for the quality of product you're getting. Okay, so just to go on some equipment that a typical strawberry grower would have, you want a tractor with enough horsepower to run a rotavator at the very least. Of course, a rotavator, pull type, small field sprayer. Of course, the bigger your acres, the bigger sprayer tank you'll need. Uh, a granular fertilizer spreader that could also be like someone maybe a custom hire, a straw spreader, i.e. a bale buster that also could be a custom hire, um, and a mower for maintaining your headlands and at renovation. Uh, a lot of growers would use a rotary 3-point hitch type a mower, and of course, as you get bigger, a strawberry transplanter is ideal, which is pulled by the tractor. Um, you could plant an acre by hand. It does take a while, but it is doable. But if thinking of growth, you definitely want to consider investing in a transplanter. So at the top left corner, that's a strawberry transplanter. I'll have some more detailed photos on the next slide. Your rotavator in the middle there. On the far right at the top is a bale buster. Uh, the bottom left is a uh, fertilizer spreader. In the middle is a rotary mower, and of course just standard tractor with an old type sprayer on it, but it still does the job. Understanding, what's okay. That's a little farther on. Strawberry biology. Okay, so this is just by understanding the plant, it'll help you with production, knowing how it grows, um, how it goes dormant, all those things. So cultivated strawberry is part of the rose family. It's considered herbaceous perennial. The flowers are perfect. So that means it has both male and female parts on the same flower. And pollination is by wind and insect, primarily solitary bees, honeybees, bumblebees, orchard bees. Um, and the plants produce runners which root and produce new plants. So a well-established mother plant can produce like 10 to $15 plant runners. So as you see in the diagram there, you have your bottom roots, shallow roots. The middle section is called the crown. That's where all the growing points come out of for that develop into leaves and runners and fruit buds. There's 3 types of strawberries, and the first type is called June bearing. These are harvested in Manitoba in late June, early July, and these are pretty much 99.5% of all Manitoba fields. It's our number one type of strawberries we grow here. Um, there's also another type called day neutral. Those are harvested kind of mid-late June and again in August, right up to fall freeze. These are the type that are grown primarily in California and Florida in warmer climates. In Manitoba, they do survive here, but typically they're almost treated like an annual crop. You would get a bit of a crop in early summer and then more in August till freeze up. They're called day nooches because they don't respond to day length. So they don't go into dormancy. So that's where you get a lot more winter injury with day neutrals. You could see up to 50% winter kill that first winter, even with straw cover. And some in the past, some growers have grown it as kind of a two crop planting. So a bit of a harvest first year and a bit of harvest second year, and then they plow it up just because the plant densities is quite low. Because that going to a second winter, it will really take out a lot of the plants. And there's also everbearing type of strawberries, but that's they produce all summer, but they're not a commercial type uh, cultivars. They're more sold to kind of home gardens. So there's typically 30 days from flowering to ripe berry, but this is very weather dependent. So it could be as short as 18 days as long as 40 days. So the crown develops a primary flower, and that first flower is usually the biggest flower, and it's called develops into the largest berry. It's known as a kingberry, and that's followed by secondary, tertiary flower production, which opens up in sequence. And to keep in mind, these fruit buds are formed the year previous, so in August, September of the previous year. And that's just showing the crown. So as I said before, all the growing points come out of that crown, and the flower buds is one of those things. So in Manitoba, this is our production system is called a matted row system. This is a traditional system used with June bearing type strawberries in colder climates. So you see this type of system in like across Canada and in like northern US states. Um, this allows this type of planting allows you to utilize the runners being produced to maximize production because it increases the amount of plants in the field that first year. So let's say you plant 6,000 plants per acre. With the daughter plants established, you can turn that into like 20 or 30,000 plants per acre. So this crisscross network of runners and mother plants create a matted row of plants. And typically the rows are kept kind of about 2 feet wide for easier picking across the row. But you see when you have a very nice, good established row, good dense canopy helps with, crowding out weeds as well. So in a matted row system, you have especially in Manitoba, a unique cropping system. So that first year, you have no harvest. You're wanting the plants to focus their energy on crown and runner development. And for that reason, when the flowers do develop, you deblossom them. So growers will go through a couple times in the season and just pick off the flowers, pinch them off by hand. And this is just so the plant is putting all its energy into runners, crown growth, and to get ready for the first winter. So that years 2 to 5, you typically get, 4, sometimes 5 years of harvest. Even a potential, most growers would probably get, a good 3 years. But yeah, you could get another 4 or 5 years if the works with your rotation, the plant densities are still high. There hasn't been too much winter injury or winter kill, and the weed density is low. Sometimes you see the field's pretty good, but maybe the plant densities dropped a little bit. Maybe had like 20% winter injury, but the weed density is quite high. So it's going to cost me more to get this field clean. And a lot of time that'll be sometimes hand weeding or cultivating than what I'm going to get off this crop. So that's a decision you need to make. looking at your planting year by year. And then year 5 to 10, you want to rotate out to a different crop, cereal, oilseeds, whatever, vegetables. And that's to break up the disease, weed, insect, pest cycles, especially the disease cycle. Strawberries have a disease, a root rot disease, that, especially on heavy soils, can be an issue, especially in wetter years. And by rotating out for that 5 years, helps break up that cycle. If you, let's say, were to just continually plant strawberries on the same land, same field, you'd start noticing your yield and plant vigor decrease over time just because of that disease pressure is building up in the field. Um, they we recommend the year before you go back into strawberries to do a green manure plow down. Um, and a green manure plow down is a crop grown primarily for the purpose of being plowed down to add nutrients and organic matter to the soil. Um, so a lot of growers would use just cereals, whatever cheap seed they could get, but clean seed, and they would mow down when the cereal heads out and then plow down late summer and leave fallow into fall. So just on a matted drill system, just as an example, let's say you want 1 acre of production, so with a 5 year rotation. So you need about 5 to 6 acres for rotation. So you're wanting to maintain that 1 acre in production. So you need to think about when you want to plant that next acre to replace that first acre. So you just have constantly in that system where you're replanting and removing plants or moving strawberries from different fields in a good rotation to keep that 5 year break between strawberries. So for June bearing cultivars, um, these are kind of the most common varieties that are used. These are all winter hardy. So for early season, like mid-June, early July, a lot of growers use Wendy and Annapolis. And mid-season is Kent is one of the top ones still. Honey Eye, Lila, Cavendish, and for late season, Cabot, Jewel, and Evelyn. And for a detailed description of different June-bearing cultivars, we had an article on this in the October 23rd, 2024 fruit crop report. Provide some good descriptions on each of the cultivars and the most popular ones with the growers. Strawberry fertility. Typically, growers using granular fertilizer based on soil test, so NPK, S sulfur. Typically, it's a split application. High applications of nitrogen for strawberries is not beneficial. The plants tend to put more energy into developing larger canopies, more runners, as opposed to fruit production. So typically you'll see a split application based on what your soil tests recommend, kind of late fall or spring and at renovation. So that is end of part 1. And I'll just briefly take a pause here and just ask if there's any questions, or Tom, if there's any questions in the comment section.
There's nothing in the chat at this point, but I
Okay.
encourage those that are on the webinar, if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat, and Anthony can get to them at this break or after part 2 is completed. So maybe we'll just give a few seconds, see if anyone is entering anything. I'm not seeing any at this point.